The following program is a public access production. Comcast is required to provide time on this channel and make it available pursuant to franchise agreements with the communities we serve. Comcast is not affiliated with the following program or the producers of public access programming and is not responsible for the content. The following program does not reflect the opinions of Comcast or its affiliates.
Welcome to another edition of Discover Tinley, where we highlight the people and organizations of Tinley Park that make our town a great place in which to live. And as we all know, Tinley Park is a pretty great place in which to live. My name is Ron Centanni. I'll be your host on the program today. And as usual, the program is brought to you every month through the volunteer efforts of the Community Resources Commission, along with our adult, high school, and college volunteers. We got a lot of volunteers putting this program on. New Year is here, 2017. It's kind of strange to say that. 2016 kind of went by pretty fast. So hopefully the new year is going to be great for you and for all of us, and especially Tinley Park. We've got some interesting things coming up. A lot of things happening over the holidays. Hope you had a good holiday and enjoyed the New Year's day pretty good. As usual, our show in January is a review of what happened in town, and we always are very fortunate and honored to have with us the mayor of Tinley Park, who helps us go through what happened last year and what's probably projected for next year in Tinley Park. So our guest today is Mayor Dave Seaman. Mayor.
Thank you, Ron.
Welcome to Discover Tinley.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, 2017, I can't believe it either. It's just a new year coming up. it's like they're flying by for you.
Just as much as for you. Sometimes more quickly than I'd like, but that's so. Okay. That's okay.
So, how's the village going? How are we doing?
We're doing well.
Okay.
The village, continues to deal with issues just like everybody else does, but fortunately many of those issues are good issues. We've got some interesting budgets. We just went through a budget process where we did our levy for the next year, our tax levy, and pleased to announce that we're abating about $6 million in expenses, meaning basically that we're able to keep expenses down by $6 million. It usually comes from bonding when you go to debt for certain things, and you have revenue sources outside of the general property tax stream to cover those expenses. So it basically means we don't have to tax.
Yeah, what does it mean to the taxpayer, basically?
Well, some communities do rebates.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm certain you've heard of towns that send people a $100 check.
Yeah.
Rather than that, we'd rather just save everybody money, because when you do a rebate, it typically doesn't apply to businesses who, as you know, pay the highest tax rates in town, and it disproportionately tends to impact residents, sometimes not necessarily in their favor. So in any case, what we do is basically try to keep the taxes low to begin with. This will be our third year where we've frozen our property tax levy, so we've not gone to the taxpayers asking for more property taxes. This is our 3 consecutive years. Wow. So we're proud of that, and once again trying to keep expenses in check and trying to keep service levels high where our constituents expect them to be.
Now we're running in the black, right, as usual?
We don't run deficit budgets.
Right.
I mean,
that's what I meant to say. Tinley Park is known for being pretty good about keeping expenses down.
We're fiscally conservative. I think that we're, in part due to what I would say is a great fire department structure, we're able to keep our expenditures on personnel far less than most communities. Those fire expenses can be high, especially when you get into legacy, pensions and everything else that everybody is dealing with these days. It's certainly not just government, it's corporate that's dealing with it as well. But we think that it's been, our fire structure is a good one, gives us good reliable service and at an incredibly low price. And so we're very proud of our fire department and fire suppression and prevention because they work together to really keep us safe. Obviously, our police department, earlier in December, we had a recognition of a number of police officers that had really gone above and beyond the call of duty. Unfortunately, in 2 of the cases, it was situations where they were giving heroin overdoses, Narcan, to reverse it. So we have the same problems as everybody else. So drugs are really an epidemic, and we're doing our best to keep people from dying when they have those encounters.
Wow. So the fire and police are still doing, as usual, a pretty decent job in Tinley Park, huh?
Doing a great job. Doing a great job.
Oh, yeah. In the budget, you said, I understand Tinley Park's budget, you're spending, what, over $100-some million a year in Tinley Park?
When you add all of the different enterprises together, your water and sewer funds and your general funds, yes. The property tax levy on that budget is just a little over $19 million. So the other sources of revenue, the income taxes that come through the state, as do the other sales taxes, which get funneled through the state, all help offset those expenses so that we don't have to put it all in the property tax payer. As you know, it's really education that gives the taxpayers the biggest hit because, quite frankly, they're not funded at their constitutionally mandated rates. But
state's not doing their job.
Correct. In a word, yes. And so, unfortunately, it comes to you and I as the local taxpayers that have to pick up that bill. And we do, because education's important, I think, to everybody that lives in the community. But it is a burden.
Oh yeah, wow. Talking about the water meters are coming up. Is there a replacement program for that going on, or what's going on with the water meters?
A replacement program is underway. Since 2014, we've replaced over 6,000 meters. Oh my. So we're going to continue that program until the entire old group is replaced, probably about 17,000. So we still have some more to go, but between our in-house resources as well as the contracted resources, we're going to try to get that done as quickly as possible. The old meters, and we're keeping every meter that's removed from service, just to give you some insight. We're keeping every one of those, and we're actually testing every one to see that if, in fact, there was a problem with it, so that if somebody thinks that they were overcharged or something, we'll have backup to say, well, it was either within or without norms. Now, if it was without the norms, we would take a look. There are a couple different ways to do it. Procedures haven't been finalized yet, but one way would basically be to look backwards, but probably the better way would be to evaluate the meter, see if there was an issue, and if there was an issue, then perhaps look forward with the new meter that's appropriately measuring, so that if there's any money due back to residents, they'd be made whole. So we made that promise, and we'll live up to that. The meters themselves were basically 10-year meters. They had a 10-year shelf life, and for the most part, they've all pretty much exceeded that. So the good news is the new meters, which will be even more sophisticated, you'll be able to test your usage remotely on your computer and not just see it quarterly when you get the bill, but you'll be able to see it basically minute by minute almost, so that if you have a leaky toilet or some other, a hose that's left on, in theory you'd be able to see it. The village might be getting early warning systems that there's some disproportionate use going on. So we'll try to, basically make sure that people aren't getting charged for those kinds of issues. I mean, people have to fix their problem if they've got a toilet that's the valve that's shot, but those things are going to be addressed. So we're very, very pleased to be getting that one behind us.
Wow, sounds like going high tech in the water department, huh?
Well, it's you know, I think it's something just not unlike your smart electric meters. You know, time has come where people want to level usage so that there isn't really heavy demands at any given time. And of course, I think in the electrical business, you know, you'll get charged more. If you use it during peak periods, you're going to get charged more. I don't think we're there yet on water, but but clearly, you know, there's depending on how conservation goes, that obviously would be something that the state and others, you know, Lake Michigan, we get our water, that's our source, and so if Chicago changes its basis for charging, you know, it may impact us as well.
Aren't they raising the rates here soon?
Actually, this year I understand there is no rate increase. This will be the first that we've had a series of about 15% increases per year, and it's my understanding that there will not be one this year. So that's a good thing.
That's a very good thing.
That's a good thing. But we're also in the throes of an Oak Lawn water project. They want to replace the water main that basically is. Oak Lawn is our source of water, so that comes up, you know, and it's not a looped system right now, so that's been some of the discussion, is to make it a looped system, which would make it less prone to a failure. So that's underway, and of course that won't come cheap. But that's a work in progress right now. This is not just a Tinley Park project. This is all the communities that are downstream from Oak Lawn and are accessing Lake Michigan water through them.
Wow. Let's talk about some of the things the infrastructure going on in Tinley Park. Some road things going on, some street things going on?
Well, we've done over 12.5 miles of road this year, resurfacing, and that program will continue. We can continue to have one of the best village street programs around. The measurement for road condition, OCI, basically has been something that we've been very attentive to for probably the last decade at least, and it basically makes sure that you're maintaining your roads in the most cost-efficient way possible. It's a lot more expensive to take a road out and replace it than it is to periodically resurface it. So we do the crack sealing, which extends life, and then we do the resurfacing, which is a recycled process. So it continues to use the product that's already there, adds some more petroleum base to it, and then goes back down again. So it really is a recycling effort.
Yeah, I've seen that done. That's kind of interesting how they do it. That's kind of neat that they recycle it instead of all new stuff. That seems like it would be a money saver to just recycle it. Yeah.
I think it saves money, and it obviously saves resources. So it works to our benefit, and we generally do about 10 to 12 miles of street a year. So I would expect that to occur. And that's just the village program. Then we've got the other programs through the county. And we've worked really closely with Cook County the last year or so. Earlier in 2016, actually, the village met with Cook County leadership, with President Prettwinkle, Commissioner Sean Morrison. Both have been very supportive of Tinley Park, and some of the programs that we're trying to get moving again. They obviously have had financial problems like everybody else, but they're beginning to see some light at the end of the tunnel, and we're hoping to get some road work done on 84th Avenue, actually, as well as 175th Street east of Oak Park Avenue between Ridgeland and Oak Park Avenue, as well as Ridgeland from 175th to Oak Forest Avenue. So that would all be part of some of the downtown redevelopment that we're doing, and really has some economic impact in the long term. What would happen is the streets would be totally removed, and then they would be replaced. I believe that the project around St. George is about a $6 million project. So that's a pretty big deal. And at that time, they do what's called a jurisdictional transfer, so the village would have responsibility. So you'd never see the streets get to be the way they are now if they were village streets.
Well, yeah, I think I never realized that was a county road. That's probably why people are all upset. Why isn't this road being done by the village? And sure enough, it's a county road, so you can't do that unless you get county approval to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wow. Well, good luck to that. We need to do more with that kind of stuff.
We always like using other people's money when it comes to improving village streets.
Yeah, I understand there's a 191st in Harlem. There's some improvements going on at that intersection. What's going on with that now?
There's a big project that will improve the intersection on the east side of Harlem that will give multiple turn lanes going out. It will also connect with Oak Park Avenue. So it will do a more direct route to Oak Park Avenue instead of the little there's a little bit of a dog leg there around Carmack's. So that should be happening probably in about 2018, we think.
Nice.
Most of these big road projects are, scheduled well in advance. So the county project at St. George, the county project on 84th Avenue, are all likely 2018 projects. So we're hoping to convince the county to do some patching on 175th quickly, sooner than later, because it's really in a bad state of disrepair and it needs to be fixed. So we'll be working with our friends at the county, and they've been pretty receptive when they recognize those issues.
Wow.
But we've done some of the big village projects around roads also that don't get typically tied to our road program are really some storm sewer projects. And we had about an $800,000 project go on in Parkside this year. We had experienced some pretty severe flooding about 3 or 4 years ago in Parkside. It didn't so much impact homes, but there was a lot of yard flooding. It was one of those microbursts, and so there was a lot of water that collected. So it was about an $800,000 project, but it will certainly prevent that from recurring. At least we hope so. There's so much reinvestment going on in Parkside right now. I live near that area, and it's just so great to see some of those just beautiful homes being redone, and they are truly nice little jewels to have in our community.
Really? I haven't driven through there for a while. I have to go take a look. So some redevelopment going on. Some of the people are remodeling their homes. And
if you go down 171st Street east of Oak Park Avenue and into Forest View Drive, you'll see some of the homes that really have been done in a first cabin style, and it continues. I'm really encouraged to see, and I think it's just the location. It's proximate to downtown, proximate to the commuter station, so there's a lot of good. The school's right there, so it's got a lot going for it, and so I'm really hopeful and optimistic that area is going to continue to improve.
Wow. Well, talking about near the downtown, what's going on in the downtown area of Tinley Park?
Well, there's a lot going on downtown right now. And it's all really interconnected to the branding study that has just been completed. Music is the brand of Tinley Park. That's what we're going to be.
First, how did that come about?
Well, I think everybody, whether it's Experience Tinley or Certainly, we went through that one, and it's or Buy Tinley or Shop Tinley or do this, do that, and it's what's unique, what's really different about Tinley Park that basically nobody else has. Now, when you think music, you probably think Austin, Texas. We're not
Austin. We're not Austin.
We're not competing with Austin or Memphis.
Okay.
But when you think of Tinley Park and you think of the music theater, I won't go into its the history of names, but you think of the music theater, probably one of the biggest venues in the area. When you take a look down Oak Park Avenue, where you've got so many live music entertainment from Cy Marina to Ed and Joe's, Durbin's, Holstein's, and a new steak place coming up pretty soon at 173rd Place in Oak Park Avenue. All of them feature live music. So we think we're going to take it to the next level. When you think of the music on the plaza that we have every summer, special events, and it just makes music just a common denominator that we think we can embrace, that you will see having an impact on our signage in town. and in so much of the things we do. So we're working with, new developments to be aware of that theme and to see if there isn't perhaps a way that they can take advantage of that as well.
Wow. Now you're enhancing Zabraki Plaza, I understand, right?
Well, the plaza itself is being rethought almost totally. As part of this review that had been conducted, the thinking was that maybe we need a dedicated facilities. We've kind of dual used the parking lot, and that's been good, but in many ways it's not been, it's been a disruption to the commuters, but it's also been probably less than ideal if you're having live music and that train comes blasting through. So this would actually move it to an area east of Tians.
Oh.
It would be back there. The village has acquired a number of those properties, so that's where we're looking and focusing right now to consider as a site. So that there will be some renderings out with probably very shortly, probably by the time this airs, there'll be some renderings available. So I think it'll be very exciting to see some of the things that we have planned for downtown. The objective is to basically make it a 250-day-a-year use venue.
Oh my.
So rather than just doing, your once-a-week music on the plaza, for instance, the biggest time of year when nothing happens, winter time, and there would perhaps be an ice rink, actually, as one of the considerations. So that would be a kind of a neat thing to do, once again, to attract people to come there, to dine, to recreate, and to live. I mean, I think we want Tinley Park to be the place to live. And our downtown core should be one of the main draws. And to be able to do that and to really, I think, have an effective draw, you need to have connections. As we work and develop the Tinley Park Mental Health Center, essential to that will be a way to have bike walking paths from that station number 2 on 80th Avenue all the way to station number 1.
Oh my.
And we think that will be a good way, and maybe even use divvy bikes.
Okay.
Have that opportunity to be able to ride in on the train and get on a bike. And better yet, if you're at a convention, in staying at the hotel, get a bike, ride into downtown Tinley and have a meal. Maybe even get on that bike and not only connect the two stations together, but maybe connect up to 167th, where you get into some of the best bike paths in the area, which are the Forest Preserve bike path around Dunn National Golf Course, as well as to the west, you've got the Orland Grassland walkway that's really a beautiful bike ride area. So, we've got so many of those kind of natural and maintained settings for recreation that I don't think we take advantage of them enough, and I don't think we promote them enough either. I don't think people recognize all the amenities that are here. So,
well, speaking of that, we had a short time, maybe briefly, what's going on at the Mental Health Center? What's the plans? If you can put it in a few sentences of what's happening over there.
That 280-acre site is big enough to probably do just about whatever you want to do there. So I think it's really, which spigot do you turn up the highest to get the most product. I think that there will be room for sports. I think there will be room for senior housing. I think there'll be room for single family. I think there'll be room for multifamily. We're looking forward to that, and the study is going to kick back into high gear after the first of the year. So we expect to have something fairly definitive within, I would say, probably by May.
Oh, really?
May or June.
Okay.
Yeah, I think once we have that master concept plan completed, and there have already been developers that have been very interested in it, that I think it's going to create some interesting proposals.
Okay.
and that's what we're anxious to see, because they're the experts. They're the people that do this. The village isn't going to build this, but clearly the village will want to guide it and make sure that it's within the expectations of our village folks that have weighed in on it, and these have all been subject to multiple meetings, and those will continue.
Yeah, I remember this past year there was all kinds of meetings about that whole thing, and that was kind of nice to see that many people putting their input into that and coming up with that.
Well, and ideas, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
it was interesting because, you know, residential is not always easy to find, and you know, the kinds of residential that the millennials are looking for right now is the kind of facilities that we have to be looking at, and you know, you create that demand, you add value, and that impacts home values. And when home values go up, people feel a lot more confident in investing and in reinvesting in their homes, fixing them up, remodeling, doing all the things that everybody has to do after so many years in a home. So that's one of the objectives, is to really see it impact home values and enhance those values for
What's
our
the
citizens.
status of the state getting that turned over? That Tinley Park doesn't own that yet, right?
The village does not own it. It is unclear if we will own it.
Oh.
A lot of that will depend on who we work with in the private sector to develop the properties.
Okay.
We'd prefer not to be a land bank. We'd prefer that it be done in the private sector, but you know, it's going to have to be something that we're comfortable with for us to be able to kind of stand back and let the developer do it. That's why the master planning concept is so important, because once that plan is there, it's going to provide some guidelines to development, and that will, I think, get us partnering with the right people to do that the right way.
And that was the idea, is the village wants to have some say in what that goes in there, and not just turn it over to a private developer and, hey, do what you want with it type of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've got to do that. Wow. Board meetings are now being televised. How's that going?
It's going pretty well so far. We've just started live streaming, so
Okay.
it's a little bit of a change, but not really. I think that the way that the meetings have been conducted, quite frankly, haven't changed very much. I think there were some concerns, well, if you go to televised meetings, is there going to be grandstanding and all that? And, you know, sometimes there's a little bit of that, but for the most part, you know, it's been relatively, you know, reasonable. So I don't think it's hurt us, certainly, by doing it. And I think that it's, you know, if it gets more people engaged in government, that's a good thing. If people, you know, not everybody has a Tuesday night to spend at the village hall. So this way, you know, they can sit in the comfort of their home and watch it if they don't see anything else good on TV.
Well, you had a good time frame there. I don't know. Tuesday night's a big TV night.
And it's going to be moved to 7:30. So
Okay.
everybody that's a fan should know that the village board meeting is going to start at 7:30 rather than 8 o'clock starting next year. So that's a little bit of a change for
And
everybody.
review, you wait, what, the first and third Tuesdays of the month?
That will continue, as will the committee of the whole. That's on the second Tuesday of the month. So, but all meetings will start at 7:30.
Oh, okay. Hopefully they'll take care of this business pretty good.
We think so. I mean, actually, we had a very heavy agenda last night with all of the abatements and everything, and that was, including public comment, was done in an hour.
Oh.
So that was good.
Compared to maybe 12 months ago, 10 months ago?
We're a little longer.
We're doing pretty good.
A little longer.
Yeah.
So we've made some progress.
Ethics ordinance is coming up. I guess you have something with the ethics coming up with that?
We've got a few efforts underway to kind of what I would call update or clean up odds and ends. Our finance policy is going to be updated. The ethics ordinance is going to be updated. The ethics ordinance has been reviewed and has really been commented on as being one of the strongest ones around. So we're proud of that. It's just a little awkward. Complying with it is a little difficult, and because, you know, I point over 100 volunteers a year, those ethics ordinance items you have to be disclosed by volunteers as well. So to make this a little easier and a little less cumbersome, I think will be a win for everyone.
Good. Well, getting to the end of the program, thanks for coming on Discover Tinley and talking about Tinley Park, and hopefully we'll have a very good year in 2017 and keep the great things going on in Tinley Park. Good luck to you all.
Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching Discover Tinley, and we'll see you next month.